Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls. I am your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Miss PK, all the way from Tucson, where it's nice and warm. We're sitting here freezing.
It's a little nippy right now, for us anyway.
Yes. What is it, like 65 or something?
A little cooler than that. Not by much, though.
It was 8 degrees here this morning.
Oh, picky.
I know.
You just want a fur coat. That's what it is.
Oh,
I don't blame you.
That would do it, I'll tell you.
Oh, we had a couple cool days that I just don't know how to handle. It's terrible. I walk around in a heavy house coat, buckle up, walk in a blanket. I look like a Cherokee. Good Lord.
The outfit in Tucson. Well, we've got 2 fabulous guests tonight.
Yes, we do.
Talking about our favorite topic, dreams and DMT, too, because one of our guests, actually both our guests, are experts in that as well. We have got to get going on that. But before we do, I want to remind everybody, subscribe to our YouTube channel, please. Mm-hmm. And follow us on all our social media. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, Facebook. Follow us. We'd love you to follow us.
And this is a good month for that type of thing because everything is about communications this month. Right. Some of the things taking place in the world stage are going to come into focus, and a lot of truths are going to be revealed this month. So do pay attention to what you hear. Focus on some of your goals, hopes. You can achieve a lot this month. And take time to assess your relationships. It's a good month to see how your relationships are really balancing. And do you do all the giving, shall I say, and how much of it's coming back to you? So maybe it's time to reevaluate the situations of the people you're dealing with. Perfect time to make changes, be creative, and distance yourself from negative situations. Surround yourself instead with people that are of great value to you, like our show and the people that we have here.
That's right.
That's what it's all about.
It is. I like that. That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Well, we have 2 authors here who are fabulous. We have David J. Brown, and he holds a master's degree in psychobiology from New York University, a former neuroscience researcher at the University of Southern California, and he has written for Wired, Discover, Scientific American, and his news stories have appeared on the Huffington Post and CBS News. He's a frequent guest of the MAPS Bulletin. He is the author of more than a dozen books, including The New Science of Psychedelics and Frontiers of Psychedelic Consciousness. He lives in, where is this? Ben Lamond, California. It sounds lovely. And our next guest is Sara Phinn Huntley, and she is a visionary artist, writer, and researcher whose work explores the intersection of psychedelics, technology, and philosophy. And Sara lives in Oregon, and they're both here with us tonight with new books, and we can't wait. Let's get started. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
It's our pleasure.
It's good to be here. Yeah.
You are groundbreakers in what you write about, what you experiment with. It's really exciting to read what you've written. So please enlighten us, enlighten our audience. We do know everybody, so many people are interested in lucid dreaming. And PK and I complain all the time because we don't see people wanting to put some elbow grease into it, put a little bit of work and learning, but you're going to make it easier for everybody, I know. So who wants to start? How do we get going in this fabulous field of lucid dreaming and DMT? Both.
Yeah, let's start with lucid dreaming. I feel like it's something that everybody has access to. DMT tends to be a topic that is a little bit more for seasoned psychonauts. So lucid dreaming has that accessibility that I think David and I both really appreciate. It's very much a bridge from normal states of consciousness to something a little bit more mystical as well as potentially paranormal. David has written a book called Dreaming Wide Awake, which is a really amazing journey through history and different cultures and how they interface with lucid dreaming, as well as covering a lot of the science of lucid dreaming. And I myself have been a lucid dreamer for a long time. I've been an avid dreamer since I was a small child and always recognized that it was essentially a hidden part of our lives that a lot of people don't necessarily tap into as deeply as they can. And it's really just like a whole hidden timeline in our lives that can bring us a lot of enrichment and a lot of spiritual growth.
And we need that now. I mean, we've always needed it, but we really need it now. So it's a great avenue to explore. So for people today,
wait, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
You can't hear
I just was able to hear you just now. I don't know what happened. But I haven't been able to hear any of this. Can you see me?
Yes, see you, and it sounds perfect.
All right, okay, because I got a big black screen here. Okay, okay. All right, okay, so as long as you can see and hear me now, okay.
Definitely.
I'm here.
Okay, that's good.
I was just hyping your book, David.
Yeah, we're talking about what your book is. And Bill, can you please put it up for everybody to see? Hey, Bill, are you here with us? Can you show the book on the screen so everybody can see it? There it is. Gorgeous cover. Look at that cover, everybody. Oh, my God.
Isn't that something?
Stunning. I love it. Excellent. And it's a great book. So as I was looking at it online today, there's so much good information, and some of it even new to me, and I've been in this field for a very long time, but it's great to see some of the new technology that people are using. But how do you want to start people off in being able to learn this technique? How do people do this?
Probably the first thing is to start keeping a dream journal. I think that's the first step is to start becoming more aware of your dreams and to improve your dream recall. Even if you feel like people, say, oh, I don't dream. Everybody dreams. So it's not true. And what you need to do is keep a journal by the side of your bed, either a written journal or an audio recorder. So the moment that you wake up, you start, writing down or recording your dreams in some kind of way. And if you feel that you can't remember your dreams, then, just write down how you feel. Or if it's just a snippet, just, write down that one little snippet. And you'll find that the more attention you pay to writing down your dreams, the more they start to, come back to you. And it sort of builds. So if you write down one little snippet, sometimes you'll remember another snippet. And if you start doing this regularly, your dream recall will increase. Then the actual techniques that I encourage people to do to actually start lucid dreaming is to, number one, get into the habit of asking yourself regularly, am I dreaming right now? And when you do that, you actually have to do what's called a reality test. You can't just say to yourself, oh, of course I'm not dreaming. Because the idea is that when you ask yourself if you're dreaming, it's a habit that you want to establish that you're going to carry over into your dreams. And if you don't get into the habit of taking a reality test, you're just going to ask yourself in the dream, oh, am I dreaming? And you're going to say, of course I'm not dreaming, just like you do when you're awake. So what you got to do is you got to take a reality test. One of the two simplest reality tests that I know of are trying to breathe with your nostrils closed. Take your fingers and pinch your nostrils and try to breathe through your nose. If your nostrils are pinched in this reality, you find yourself that you can't breathe. But in a dream, you have no problem. So that's one of the easy ways.
Okay.
Another simple way is picking up a book or any piece of paper that has text written on it, and to look at what it says, memorize what it says, look away, and look back. And in this reality, it usually stays the same. But when you're in a lucid dream or in a dream, the text will almost always change. It actually will morph behind your eye, in front of your eyes if you just stare at it. So that's a really good technique to get started. Another one is waking up around 2 hours before you normally do. Doing a few things around the house and then going back to sleep, to start getting in the habit of saying to yourself while you're falling asleep, the next time I'm dreaming, I want to remember to recognize that I'm dreaming. And you sort of combine these different techniques, and you find that people just, have more lucid, almost if you follow these techniques, you'll almost definitely have a lucid dream within a couple of weeks. And if you combine them together, and even just talking about them increases the probability of actually having a lucid dream.
What if you feel like you don't dream? How does one get themselves into a mode where they can dream or feel they can?
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, keep a dream journal next to your bed, and if you can't remember anything from the dream, if you wake up and it's like, I don't have any memory, just write down the emotion, write down how you feel, when you wake up, and just paying attention. Try lying there for a few minutes before you even open your eyes, and just try to put some effort into trying to recall it. You'll find that if you actually put effort into trying to recall it, it'll start to come back to you, little snippets, maybe just one little tiny piece of the dream. Usually the very last thing that happened before you wake up, sometimes people can remember. And just putting more and more attention into that. And also there's herbs and other things that you can take that also help to increase the probability of improving your dream recall. We can go into those more later in the show if you like.
Yes, we'd like to.
I don't feel like I dream. Once in a very blue moon, do I ever have any feelings of any type of a dream?
Yeah. Well, start keeping a dream journal. Start writing down how you feel, and try just not opening your eyes right away. And
another thing that I wanted to ask both of you about is both PK and I have some considerable health issues that have dragged us down, and I've noticed for myself that because I've kept dream journals since I was in my 20s, and I'm very old now, so long time. But since I've been, working around and dealing with these autoimmune issues, it's very tough to remember dreams. And I'm wondering, PK, if this is why you're also having trouble remembering your dreams, because it takes some energy. And I sometimes feel like when I go to sleep, I am exhausted, so I sleep, and I don't have the energy that I would love to have back to be able to do all the things that I used to be able to do. It's an issue that I've been looking at and going, God, is there a way around this? And I know taking herbs, B6, all kinds of things, which I'm so open to, is a big help. It hasn't gotten me over that hump where I'm doing my regular dreaming practice. So frustrating. So do you have suggestions?
I have autoimmune issues too. Yeah. Go ahead, David, and then I'll follow up.
Yeah, I have autoimmune issues as well, and it doesn't seem to affect my dreaming. Really, vitamin B6, did you try taking it right before going to sleep?
Oh, yeah.
The vitamin B6?
Yeah, I love it. Even lately, it doesn't doing anything.
Yeah, well, there's other herbs that you can try. There's Calea zacateki, the Mexican dream herb, Silene capensis, the African dream herb. Velvet bean is often really helpful. It contains L-dopa, which increases your dopamine levels.
Okay, velvet bean is the name of that? I'm going to remember that one.
Yeah, velvet bean. Yeah, is another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really excited to try anything that will help me get back into the regular practice of remembering my dreams and working with them. I miss it because I've done it for so long, and then feeling this amorphous block that it seems to prevent me from remembering is so annoying. I don't like it. So thank you for that. I'm going to look for the velvet bean, Mexican one. I think I have that upstairs in my cabinet, actually. So I should... to try.
Yeah, and I think Sara had some suggestions as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I want to hear, Sara.
Yeah, of course there's, the classic mugwort. But I found something recently that is on the pharmaceutical side of things, but for chronic pain, I was prescribed low-dose naltrexone.
Yes, I
And
took someone.
yeah, and the one of the very first things the pharmacist told me is that it can induce really crazy dreams, and to which I was like, "Great, that's awesome. I don't mind that at all." About about 37% of people experience really vivid dreams with it. Unfortunately, for some people, those can be challenging dreams. I think that that's more of an artifact of people's, personal lives and interpersonal things. But they are very vivid, and I am definitely in that 37% category that my dreams just got very vivid and technicolor and a little crazy. But they were beautiful, and I was actually pretty impressed because it is such a low dose thing. Yeah. I think it's like 0.5 milligrams, very, very small. And for people curious, it has an anti-inflammatory quality to it, and that's how it helps alleviate, a lot of the chronic pain associated with autoimmune disorders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have something to add too. I just remembered that there's something that I take for my autoimmune disorder called EGCG, which is a green tea extract. It's available on Amazon, and it's a nutritional supplement. Mm-hmm. And I found that not only does it help significantly with my autoimmune disorder, it dramatically helps with my dream recall. And I've never heard anybody else even talk about this. I don't know how frequently it helps other people, but it's been dramatic for me. I would have definitely included it in my book if I had tried it before, but this is something that I've only recently discovered in, say, the past 6 months. But I highly, highly recommend that to give that a try.
I'm going to try it. I've heard of it as having health benefits, but I didn't know it had dream recall benefits. So now I'm definitely on it. I'm going to be buying it for sure. Well, thank you for that. That's great.
Definitely.
Yeah, anything that makes it easier to remember my dreams at this point in my life. So this is great. Yeah. What about, since we're talking a little bit about some of the psychedelic properties of certain things, what about ketamine? Because that's being offered to people now online. You can buy it and work with a company, and you can have a microdose, you can have a macro dose. What are your thoughts on using that to help with dream recall?
Certainly, a lot of people claim that it increases the vividness, increases the quality of their dreams in dramatic ways. All psychedelics seem to have a very profound influence on people's dreams. I think in some cases it actually stimulates or triggers lucid dream experiences.
Yeah, psilocybin, we tried to get that passed here as being legal, and somehow it didn't make the grade. But yeah, there's a lot being said about psilocybin being able to do wondrous things. And ibogaine too, but ibogaine is classified like heroin, for God's sake. So plant medicine should all be different.
Yeah, there was somebody I spoke to when I was writing Dreaming Wide Awake, somebody who lives in Italy, who was microdosing with iboga, the plant where ibogaine is derived from, and they were doing it every day for a while. And they said they had lucid dreams every single night while they were microdosing with it. So for some people, it seems to be a very powerful lucid dream stimulant.
Gosh, okay. So we just don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
Good point.
This is for educational purposes only.
It's unfortunate that they categorize a lot of these things as being illegal in this country. It's crazy. I want to see it all change. I hope it does. But in the meantime, that these are powerful allies that we should have access to. And it does.
Agreed.
With iboga too, I've heard stories of people being completely healed of infirmities and autoimmune issues and things like that. So it goes beyond even what it can do for you on the psychic level. So,
well, it's also completely ironic that it's illegal and in the same class as heroin, when it actually helps people. One of the main things it does is help people with addiction problems.
Yeah, exactly.
So so it's completely ironic. It wasn't scheduled as an illegal drug with great care and consideration. It was sort of just included in the group back in the 60s when they were making every psychedelic drug illegal, I guess, or in the early 70s, rather.
What about where you two, because you're on the West Coast where things are handled a bit differently. So do you have more access on the West Coast to certain psychedelics than we do out here in provincial New England?
And in Colorado and Oregon and a number of cities, Santa Cruz, California is one of them. There is, they're decriminalized certain psychedelic plants, so they're not sold, legally, but there's no criminal penalties for possessing them.
That's
just available.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, we like that. Yeah. Well,
yeah, and in Colorado and Oregon, where Sara lives, they're working with psilocybin therapy now. People can actually be licensed in the state of Oregon to become a psilocybin therapist.
That's fabulous. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Finally, people can be free of their demons.
Yeah. Really, after being demonized and ridiculed and ignored and, for so many years, right?
The truth.
Goodness. Yes. So let's go to a little bit about DMT and the entities within. Bill, can you put up the DMT book? That's another beautiful cover. Bill, where are you? But that's quite an expose and that you've done on the DMT entities. And so these are the same for many people, right? They're familiar to many people. Tell us about that. How does this work?
Well, the inspiration for the book came maybe around 15 years ago when Sara and I were tripping together one day in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and we had been aware that a lot of people report the same types of entities, during these experiences, the gray aliens, the mantis entities, the octopoid entities, the clown entities, the self-transforming machine elves. They come up really frequently. I mean, people report really hundreds of different types of entities, but there was around 25 that just kept coming up frequently according to the surveys that they had done. And Sara and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to create a kind of like the old nature field guides that people did with different animals and plants to actually do this with the types of entities that people report from their DMT experiences. And Sara is just really a brilliant artist, and we had been talking about doing this for years, and we thought that she could illustrate them and I can write the different entries for the different entities, and that was how it came to be. And it's really fascinating because there's now a lot of research into DMT. It was a pretty obscure drug when we talked about doing it, but it's really a fascinating compound. It's naturally found in the human body. In many ways it shouldn't even be considered a drug. It's naturally found. It's probably more of a neurotransmitter or a naturally produced brain chemical. But it's just incredibly fascinating. And so many people report the same types of entities. And so you have to wonder, is this really a hallucination, or are people really tapping into some type of genuine, independent, freestanding reality where these entities really live and we can communicate with?
Well, it sounds like the second one to me.
Yeah, well, when you've had the experience, it's hard to deny it. It seems realer than real, as many people say. But
Yes, exactly. Well,
did you want to add to that, Sara? Did you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I mean, the experience itself is really compelling. I feel like more people than not tend to lean towards there's some kind of quality that leaves it open to debate. When you have the experience, it's very difficult to rationalize with yourself that it's all just in your head, because there's such a richness of the experience that a lot of that detail and just awe really feels outside the scope of what your imagination can sort of fabricate on its own, whether it's drawing from things that you've felt or seen in your waking life or your dream life. It's just so many clicks beyond what we experience in other states of consciousness that it really feels like a quality where it is kind of like a portal to another dimension. It does feel realer than real. And the kind of resonance that people have with these different archetypes that they experience is so common. You know, many people will say, oh, I met jesters, or I met mantises, or I met blue people. That in and of itself was the most intriguing factor that really inspired David and I to look more into that. And as he was saying before, with the, you know, the research that's been done over the past, like 2-3 decades at this point. Strassman did his work in the 90s, and now we're seeing even more amazing research with, many different organizations stepping up to the plate to do extended state studies. So people are able to, expand their time in that realm or that particular altered state of consciousness from, the 5 to 10 minutes that you would see in, a normal smoked circumstance, or even, just your typical IV drip. There are people going out for an hour or so at a time, and with ambitions to do it even longer. And being able to draw information from that research and cross-reference it not only with the other studies, but also the anecdotal experiences that people have been sharing over the years online, whether it's DMT Nexus or Shroomery or Irwin. There's a lot of different forums online, and people's anecdotal experiences very much align with what we see in the research too. And so being able to tease out the science and, really confront that question, is this just an artifact of brain chemistry and, the receptors involved, or is this something that's potentially more? Because something that David explored in the book was a lot of these archetypes are very similar and synonymous with different beings in mythological lore from many different cultures around the world. And then there's also a lot of really interesting correlation with more postmodern paranormal experiences, whether, we're talking about things like little gray aliens. Right. And those things also come up for people's dream motifs as well. So being able to see that broad spectrum of entity contact that seems to be in common with one another is really interesting. And like I said before, it kind of begs the question, what's the nature of reality? And would we be able to attribute that entity contact in that sphere? Like, is this real or not? And, a lot of people emotionally and intuitively lean towards the interpretation that there's something real to this on some level.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, let me just say something about DMT so your audience understands what it is, because it's a very mysterious compound. Dimethyltryptamine, DMT, is not only found in the human body, it's found in every animal body. It's found in almost every plant. It's ubiquitous throughout nature, and no biochemist knows why it's there, what function it serves. We don't know why it's in the human body. We don't know what it does. It's a very mysterious compound. It's a very simple compound. It's derived from tryptophan, an essential amino acid. Tryptophan's in your diet. DMT is found in orange juice. There's trace amounts of it. It's everywhere, and nobody knows what it does. It's this very, very profound mystery, because when you actually elevate your levels of DMT, you have these completely otherworldly experiences that are more powerful than any other known psychedelic. It is truly one of the most profound mysteries known to the human species, I think.
That's very mysterious. I have a visitor, my dog is here, so in case he's say something, I guess.
He's in charge.
The entities have arrived.
I have a fuzzy one. That I've never heard that before either. That's so amazing that it's in everything. Gosh, and nobody knows.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
I think it's in every kingdom aside some arthropods, right?
Yeah, the insects. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not in insects, and it's not really in fungi either. But psilocybin is found in fungi, which is very closely related to DMT.
Yes. So, in your book, I'm Dreaming Wide Awake. It's fascinating how many questions I had as I was going through it. Like, you brought up the question of, can you say your name out loud, or just can you say your name in your dream? And so many people say you can't. What is that about? That's so weird.
I don't know, but I've been able to do it lately. So
Yeah.
it's certainly possible. I had like a block for years where I wasn't able to say it for some very odd reason, and I kept trying in different ways in my lucid dreams to do it. And other people have said this too, but I also heard I'm not the only one who's been able to say my name in a dream. So I'm not really sure what the block is, but for some people they experience it. But it's definitely something that you can overcome with practice.
That's amazing. And what about dreamwalkers like Carlos Castaneda? There was a story about him working with an institute in California. And you've heard this one? I've told this on the air so many times, but you probably know about this, where he's working with an institute and they got like 15 people together and they said, we want you to keep track of your dreams. And for the next few months, and if anything unusual happens, would you please call the institute in the morning? And one morning, they all called in and said, last night, Carlos Castaneda walked into my dream, shook my hand and said, hi, I'm Carlos Castaneda. Please call the institute in the morning. And all 15 of them had the same experience. I mean, that's power. That's Dreamwalker. Have you heard that one before?
I haven't heard that particular anecdote before, but I am familiar with shared dreaming. You know, I have a chapter in my book about shared dreams, and my ex-girlfriend and I used to have, dreams where we shared the content of our dreams, very regularly in ways that were uncanny, and after a great deal of practice, we were able to have a shared lucid dream where we were both in the lucid dream at the exact same time, and we woke up from it and started just excitedly talking to each other about it. So it's definitely possible. I know other people who have had those experiences as well.
I'm just going to shut my door here.
The doggo wants to share their dream.
Yeah. I thought I shut up my phone earlier, and evidently it did. That's why I rang it. So usually the first thing I do when I get on the air is shut the phone off, but not tonight. It didn't work.
Yeah.
My phone and her dog. We've got it made.
Yeah. My cat's with us. He's just sitting quietly over there.
What kind of a cat?
I've got a Maine Coon.
Oh my God! Can we see her?
Let's see. I don't know. She's sitting over there. I can't see the camera. Can you see her there?
They're beautiful.
Oh, yes.
And they're beautiful and big. It's so big. Oh my God. What about working with animals in dreams? I mean, do you have people relate to, having their animals show up in dreams, or animals that have passed showing up in dreams? Yeah,
I've definitely experienced that.
Oh, great. Okay.
One of my first cat, Luna, a couple years after she passed away, she made an appearance in a fairly profound dream of mine, and it was a kind of intense plot line that was a little bit on the darker side, but it had like these metaphysical qualities to it that I still felt were sort of, like a lesson or a teaching point or some kind of revelation. And towards the end of the dream, I became lucid, and I remember spending time with her. And there's this really beautiful tarot deck that I have in waking life from, I think her name is Francine Hart. And there was a card that appeared in the dream, and the mechanism of lucidity was, I think I was asking my brother what year it was, and he couldn't answer me. And I realized it was a dream, and I was with Luna, and I looked at her and I was like, you're past, like you're not alive anymore. But she was there with me. And I remember asking her the meaning of a tarot card that I had drawn in the dream. And the tarot card was the Dolphin Merkaba. And it was something to the effect of connecting with friends through play to create these sort of like sacred geometric networks of energy that we could cycle between one another and to uplift one another. It was really beautiful. And it just kind of reminded me that even though she was gone, that she was still my friend and that she was still playing with me.
Yeah. And that was a very complex image too. I mean, that's amazing. But that's how cats are, I think.
Yeah, I've always wondered, because cats spend so much time sleeping that
Yeah.
they must be like master lucid dreamers. I have this idea, and I've had my cat is in my dreams all the time. He's a frequent character in my dreams. And what's so interesting is sometimes I'll be having dreams about her, and then I wake up and there she is staring right at me, so.
That's great.
Your attention, Mary.
20 hours a day is a lot of practice.
That is a lot of practice. Oh,
A long time to take a nap as a cat.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, they're very advanced. We know that. No question about it. Now, there is technology. Tell us about the technology that people can buy and use to help them learn how to lucid dream. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I experimented with something I have a chapter on this in my book on all the different technologies. And I experimented, the one that I experimented with that I had the most success with was something called the REM Dreamer, which was a device that was it was actually designed by Stephen LaBerge. This was kind of a knockoff, a copy of his device, but it worked on the same principle, which is basically a pair of very soft sort of goggles that you wear while you're sleeping, and it has a little motion detector in it, and it can detect when your eyes are, rapidly moving back and forth, what they call the rapid eye movement stage of sleep, which is the time of the sleep process where you're most usually actively dreaming. And so when it detects this, it just starts blinking a very soft red light that's behind your eyelids. And it's not enough to actually wake you up. But what happens is that red light that's blinking back and forth will actually get incorporated into your dreams. And that becomes sort of a dream sign or a signal for you to be able to recognize that you're dreaming. And I had some success with that. But what's really exciting is what's coming down the pike. And that's at the Max Planck Institute in Germany, they've done research where they've shown that when they using transcranial brain stimulation, a sort of band you wear around your head, it will actually stimulate your prefrontal cortex, which is normally inactive when you're dreaming, and it's active usually when people are lucid dreaming. So if it's artificially stimulated with this transcranial brain stimulation process while people are dreaming, it produced a lucid dream something like 89% of the time in their subjects in their experiment. So this is something that's coming down the line. Once it's mass produced and miniaturized, it should be available. I actually saw somebody doing a Kickstarter campaign for it a little while ago. I'm not really sure where that is in its development process right now, but that's certainly something that will be along in the not too distant future, a way for people to have lucid dreams on command.
Gosh. Well, I'm the queen of contraptions, so I'll be.
I've got a low-tech one for you if you like.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, when I was writing a series of lucid dreaming workshops, I came across this really cool technique that's actually fairly old. It's probably like over a century or so old. Oh. There was a French guy, I forget his name right now, forgive me, but he figured out that because smell is so closely associated with memory and other qualities of recall, that if he used a special blend that he only wore at night, that when he smelled it in the dream, he would realize he's dreaming. And I happened to come across a blend that is that incorporates a lot of different herbs that have been known to help induce lucid dreaming. And this isn't a plug, I don't make any money from them, but the doTERRA Console blend has a lot of the different herbs that are known to help with lucid dreaming. And so I did a little bit of experimentation where I would wear it only at night. And I would put it on my wrists and my neck before going to sleep, because I'm a side sleeper and I do this like stereotypical thing. And because it would be, near my face, I would fall asleep and I would be dreaming and I would smell it. And I'd be like, I must be asleep because I only wear that at night. And it worked really well. And so it's a cool low-tech way, while people wait for this cool technology to become more accessible and more affordable and miniaturized, as David was saying, the low-tech way is also very surefire.
That's
Yeah,
good.
let me just also add, you can also just take mugwort, which Sarah mentioned earlier, and just put that in a little pouch, by your bedside. And I found that actually will also pretty dramatically actually increase my frequency of vivid dreams and lucid dreams.
That's great. Well, and I've heard good things about doTERRA for essential oils. They're supposed to be really good company. So I have to
talk with them over the years. They are a very good essential oil.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. There were some other ones that are old timers, like I think Castaneda also had looking at your hands or something like that, and trying to make yourself look at your hands while you were dreaming. Does anybody still do that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's real common. A lot of people talk about that. I think they mentioned that probably in the film Waking Life. Was that mentioned in Waking Life? It's a very common. It's not something I really do. I look at my hands when I'm dreaming sometimes, just because it's sort of the first thing you do in any new state of consciousness. When babies, when they're in the crib, they're looking at their hands. When people, do a psychedelic for the first time, they look at their hands. When people are in virtual reality for the first time, they look at their hands. There are more connections, neurological connections between your eyes and your hands than any other two parts of your body. So it's the way you sort of accustom yourself to a new state of consciousness. So it's not surprising that many people do it when they first start lucid dreaming.
Now, you mentioned some not so happy meetings on the dreaming plane when other entities were coming and they weren't so friendly. Can you share some of that that people have experienced?
Did I mention that on the book? It's because I thought that was a more recent experience.
Mention it now.
I had an experience recently that I didn't think was even possible when I was writing Dreaming Wide Awake, which is that I had categorized in the book basically 4 types of dream characters, I think, or maybe it was three types. I had that some were like puppets, they just sort of had this very mechanical way of being. Some were more complex personalities that are almost like talking to another person, and they seem like independent beings. And some were like kind of wise beings, or they seemed that they had, some kind of guide or some kind of higher intelligence and knew more about you than you knew yourself. And then there's, of course, you can speak to the dream itself, the intelligence behind the dream. But what happened in this more recent dream was I discovered there was an entity that I could not control and was able to control me. And I was fully lucid in the dream. And it was actually kind of terrifying when it happened. It dragged me into a train and took me somewhere. And I actually forced myself awake during the process. I'm kind of a little sorry I didn't stay with it a little longer. But I did get so frightened that I practiced one of the techniques. If you're ever having a dream and you want to wake yourself up, the way to do it is to just hold your breath in the dream. If you hold your breath in the dream, you actually are holding your breath in your body as well. It's one of the few parts of your body that you can control from your dream. The other is your eye blinks. When you blink in a dream, those are also, correspond to your body. But I actually practiced this dream, this technique where I held my breath and woke myself up because it was so frightening. But that's another type of character that I found that I wasn't the only one who experienced that. A character that, that's beyond your control and can control you, even in a lucid dream.
Where did it come from? Is this like another reality that they step through into ours or yours?
Yeah, maybe, maybe.
You're experienced at this. So for this to happen to you is really something, because that's wild.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. What about you, Sarah? Have you ever had that happen with an entity coming in that has more power than you do in the dream?
Yes. Yeah, David knows this. I am both cursed and blessed with a really exotic dream life, and I've met lots of non-human intelligences that are extremely powerful. Most of them have been very diplomatic and enjoyable to interact with. There have been a number of them that are quite a big deal, like less pleasant. Pardon me stuttering on my words. I tend to learn very profound things from my interactions with them, regardless of whether or not they're nefarious or, benevolent. And they always put me in a position where I really need to be very like meta aware of myself and sort of my highest self and my best behavior and my most open-minded to the experience. Because it's very much like being, for lack of a better way of describing it, you're in an astral plane. It's not like a normal dream. It has nothing to do with my personal life. And they tend to be really crazy environments. And, that most often it'll be lucid dreams. But I realized that on a spiritual level, the stakes are a lot higher feeling than just a banal day-to-day experience. It's not like going to school or going to your job or, doing your chores around the house. Like you're face-to-face with a very metaphysical experience, and it's going to stay with you for a long time. And so, like David was saying, like you want to stick with it, but it can be really challenging emotionally because it just challenges everything you thought you knew about reality. And it's also just crazy because you're at the edge of a realm that there's that sort of Venn diagram that, that shared space between these beings that feel outside of my mind. And then like the very limit of the space I can occupy dimensionally. And so, yeah, I've had a number of those experiences throughout my life, and they stick with me. I'm so grateful for them because they're amazing. It's definitely the kind of stuff that makes life exciting and worth like stretching yourself to, be present for, but they're also just crazy. And when you wake up, it just challenges your idea of like, okay, now I have to go back to, everyday life and do the chores and get stuck in traffic. And, your memory of that being is in the back of your head. Like, whoa, I just met something non-human last night.
Yeah. Something big. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, this is real excitement for us to hear these stories and
Definitely
know what's possible, and that you're both avid dreamers and you keep track of your dreams every day. Everybody's listening, right? You need to really do this. It's important.
Even if you just start doing it once a week, like it's your day off and you can sleep in. I think the wild technique is super accessible for newbies. It's wonderful. You can almost do it accidentally. You just get up to go pee and then you go back to bed. And if you're just aware of, the fact that you're going back to sleep, it gives you that little extra boost of awareness to potentially pop into lucidity in the last few hours of sleep, where you actually are going deeper into REM and have a higher likelihood of the dream narrative sticking with you and your memories when you wake up.
Yeah, that's great. There are ways to do it, everybody, that are easier. Yeah. Now, what about health and dreams? Because we had a guest on the show who had cancer, and she feels that her dreams were responsible for getting her the right treatment and keeping her alive. So I'm sure you've heard plenty of these stories, which are wonderful. And again, shows how important it is to pay attention to our dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a chapter on that in my book as well. It's when I was writing it, that was one of the most common things I heard. Was that people had used the lucid dreams to heal themselves. One person talked about healing a throat infection that they had, and some people even talked about going into other people's dreams and healing them. Through the clear dreaming process. In my own case, I used it to help. I called upon my late physician who passed away a while back, and I called him into a lucid dream to help me deal with some chronic headaches that I was having. And he put his hands on my head, and the headaches did improve pretty significantly after that. So it's one of the most common things that people report being able to be used for. It's not just physical healing. It's also, psychological traumas can be healed through dreams as well.
Yes, well, that makes sense. It gave me an idea. There was a healer by the name of Bill Brown who he used to leave his body, and then all these surgeons would show up around him. And this was at Bob Monroe's place at the Monroe Institute, and you'd see the backdrop of the surgical room behind him, and you smell the anesthesia. Now I'm going to call him into a dream and see if he'll help. with this autoimmune.
Yeah. Let me know how you make out. I'll be curious to hear.
Yeah, Bill's long gone, so maybe he needs another.
That's going to be a big dream.
But I never thought about that. You see, this is great. I mean, your whole book is full of such innovative thoughts and ways of approaching things. Both of you have done a wonderful job putting these books together. And
Definitely.
I never would have thought to ask Bill Brown into a dream. Now you've given me that great idea. So now I'm going to do that. Bill, I'm calling on you.
That's right.
Yeah. In another aspect of health, I think that dreams can be a really beautiful catharsis to help people deal with grief too.
Yes.
Yeah, for me personally, I was really close with my dad, and I lost him a couple years ago.
Okay.
And I've been just so blessed that there are moments when I really miss him, and somehow through some kind of magic, he'll visit me in a dream. And I'm sort of able to tell if like it's just a construct of my memories of him, or occasionally I'll have a really magical dream where I sincerely feel like it's him. And when I wake up in the morning, I genuinely feel a sense of like peace and happiness, and like really feeling like I got to spend time with him. And so I think that that's a really beautiful thing, that when people are able to, grow that muscle memory of their dream life and open up that lucidity, that, I don't want to bother him with whatever kind of beautiful incarnation he's moved on to since leaving this world. But at the same time, I get to go through the next several decades of my life without that particular best friend. And so I think that it can be a really beautiful way for people to process their feelings and to stay connected to the people who had foundational ways of, being a part of their earlier lives.
Yeah, you're so blessed that you had such a good relationship with him.
That's wonderful.
Oh, very much so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. My ex-girlfriend, by the way, reported the same thing. Her father passed away when she was rather young, and she had been practicing lucid dream techniques when we were together, and had an experience. He woke up almost in tears. He was so ecstatic that she had this experience in a lucid dream where he and her father were playing pool together, and she said it was just like we were together. So it's not uncommon that people encounter people who have departed in their dreams and in their lucid dreams. Patricia Garfield wrote a wonderful book. I'm forgetting the title, but it was a book entirely about how people have been able to overcome grief through meeting up with their departed loved ones in their dreams.
Yeah, that is. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I'm glad you brought that up.
I know a few that it would make all the difference for.
Yeah, Bill, can you show these beautiful books again to everybody? These are great Christmas presents.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Enlightened. Yeah. Yes. I mean, look at that gorgeous cover. You have two beautiful covers. Did you design the cover, Sarah?
No, I didn't. But there's an image from the book that I made that actually there's two on the cover. The Harlequin kind of character and the cute little gnomes in the bottom left. There's actually a lot of other artists that help contribute to the book. And I think that's one of the things that makes it so powerful as a cartography of the DMT space. There's well over 20 or 30 of our really dear friends, people like Alex Gray, people like Jason Tucker, who is the son-in-law of the late Sasha Shulgin. And there's Andrew Jones, there's ELO Projects, there's countless people who are really talented artists who helped us with the imagery in the book as well. And I'm also really excited to mention that Inner Traditions and David and I and our friend Rachel Turetsky, we're going to be working on an oracle deck based on the 8-circuit model of consciousness that Timothy Leary developed, and we're formulating that into an oracle deck with the DMT entities. So it kind of reflects this idea that as you move through the different circuits of consciousness, you're more likely to encounter DMT entities of specific archetypes.
I just got the demo deck in the mail today, and I'm so excited. It's going to be published soon by Inner Traditions, the same people that published the other two books.
When this drops, so we can tell everybody. Oh, I've got a wrap. Okay, Bill.
It's been a great show. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure.
Please come
Yeah,
back.
likewise. Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's our delight.
An honor. Really, both of you are amazing. So everybody will be back next week with another great show. And until then, we will see you on the Blue Highway. Good night.
Good night.